In a few hours' time, the government will hand down its pre-election budget, and Labor's already made a bold promise to voters that Aussies can expect another significant boost to cost of living relief. The government's revealed some of its key spending commitments will include extending energy bill rebates, cheaper medicines listed on the PBS, and also more childcare subsidies. But with everything else under wraps for now, who will be the big winners, and are we set for any surprises? To find out more, we're joined by Australia's top forecaster and HSBC's chief economist, Paul Bloxham. Good morning. No pressure, top forecaster here. So a lot of people might think, oh, federal budget coming out, why should I care about it? What's in it for me?
Well, this is it. There's going to be a bit more spending ahead of the election, of course, a pre-election budget that we weren't actually necessarily going to have, but we are going to have because the cyclone, of course, meant that the delayed timing for the election, and now we're having a budget. So the budget's going to include, as you say, some spending for households, some support for households, cost of living measures, an extension of the electricity subsidies that we had already received. So they're going to be extended. There's going to be some support in there in terms of spending on Medicare. So the idea is to make bulk billing more easy and deliver more bulk billing. There's going to be some spending on infrastructure, some spending on defence. We know a lot of the things that have already been announced, and there's been quite a lot announced as well. You ask if there are any going to be any surprises. Well, there aren't normally a whole lot of surprises on the night, but we will see. We'll see if they see what they deliver.
And they might have to save some cash so they can spruik some more just before the election, I guess. So how do they work out how much money to give us now without pushing up inflation, which we've been trying to get down all these months, and how to keep interest rates coming down?
Well, this is the balancing act, right? So the government really wants to try to provide a bit of support for households and relieve cost of living, but not boost inflation so much at the same time that if they boost inflation, of course, the RBA has less option to be able to lower interest rates. And so it's a fine line they're travelling. If you do more government spending, of course, you create more demand in the economy, and that can put upward pressure on inflation a little bit more relative to the alternative. And so it's a fine line they have to travel, that the cost of living measures are going to likely lower the headline rate of inflation. Everyone's electricity bill is going to be a bit lower than it would otherwise be. Okay. But that also gives households a bit more income. And of course, if they spend a bit more of that income, that supports the price of other things. So it's a really tricky calculation they have to do. Look, our expectation is inflation is headed lower. The RBA is going to have an opportunity to be able to lower interest rates later this year.
Later this year? You don't reckon there'll be a cut? What, are they meeting in April again?
In April, they're meeting on the 1st of April, and we don't think they'll be cutting on that day. No, we think that they've given a cut in February, and they've said, look, inflation's heading in the right direction, but it's not heading there particularly quickly. The labour market's still very strong, the unemployment rate's still very low, and so they've given pretty clear guidance back in February that we shouldn't expect a cut at the next meeting at least. Okay,
I do read this morning also pressure from the US for Australia to spend more on defence. Well, the US might actually punish us. Is that a possibility?
I think, we saw an announcement yesterday that there's going to be a pull forward of some defence spending. Now, keep in mind with the defence spending story, every country's doing the same thing at the moment. They're all ramping up their defence spending, a more uncertain geopolitical environment that we face. So what we saw yesterday was an announcement of a pull forward of $1 billion worth of spending. That actually was already in the budget, over the horizon. It's just been pulled forward to be in the near term.
OK, will Trump be happy with that?
Well, that's a hard question to answer.
OK, we won't ask you to speak for Trump. Thank you very much, Paul Bloxham.